the course we're going to be setting up navigation bar, which I've already made some code for. This code is going to be available in the repo. I will put a link in the description. It will be on GitHub, so you can just copy and paste this code. This is not a UI course. I'm not intending to show you how to build all of these here. I will just show you that we have some SCSS here, and we have some components here and stuff like that, and pretty much that's everything. So the only thing we need to do here for this to work is go in here in CSS, add this in, and then go inside the front end part and run npm I node sass. And what we just have here is basic navigation bar. It contains a tuple, and I will put this in here. I won't put all of the code in the repo that I'm going to be building afterwards. This is not going to be how to build the entire course platform, because this is going to be on my website. So I'm obviously going to leave out details like token keys and all kind of things like that. But and there will be certain code I will be extending on and stuff like that that won't be accessible, but it will still show you the idea of how to make your own course platform. So with that said, let's go ahead and run dev. And in here, let's go ahead and see PHP ISON serve. And let's see what it says in here. Okay, so what we want to do in here is we want to go in and let's get rid of everything in here and just put template. And inside here, we just want to leave it as it is. So static, we want to remove these two here, and then in here, we want to go in, and I'm just gonna basically go in and remove the logo here and just change this to which is gonna be the name of my site. So let's go and see here. This is because we need to install a few more things for this to work. So let's go inside. I'm just gonna go in this project here. And in here I will have package.json. And we want to copy all these three here and basically just go in the package.json file here, remove this, pass it in like this, run npm install, npm run dev, and that would just install all of these dependencies here, and let's see what happens. So this will just take a second, and we will see if this is going to be working. Okay, so we just need to do a bit more configuration here for this to work properly. We need to import them. I think that should be everything then. So let's go in and make an export default, and let's put in components. And let's go ahead and say import, and we want to import and then we want to go in here and we want to import this, and let's just register the components here. Okay, so I'm gonna be fixing this later on, but again, this is not a UI course, so we're not gonna be focusing too much on the UI. I want to make sure everything obviously looks great, but don't really want to put in hours of work in here with the UI. We when we can be focusing on how to make what is actually important in this series. So with that done, we want to go in now in the login and the register page, and we later on is intending to basically create these forms here. So before we do that, let's go in here and create a window here, and let's go into the backend directory, and let's make a model, and let's call this course, and let's have a migration. So this is gonna be the one that's gonna contain all of the courses here, and we should probably also move this into what's called into the models directory, like this, and just make sure to put the models up here in the namespace. So let's look at what we actually want to add into the course one here, and we want to go into the database migrations, and in here let's go in and add a table string with title, and then let's go in and add a table, and let's go in and add a string, and let's call this description. And we also want to have a slug, and the slug is going to be unique. And we're going to add in more things as well here. So we have the description, we have the title, and for now, let's just stick with that. The idea is later on that we obviously is going to go in, and every course is going to have its own lesson. And then every time we create a lesson, it will be put in there. So that's the idea. You could go in and allow the user to have custom meta tag for SEO. If you want to do that, it's simply just creating an extra field here. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking in the first amount of characters from there instead. But if you want to go in and allow the user to have custom SEO, you are more than welcome to do that by just creating an extra field. And let's now go in and create a controller. So inside our HP controllers, and we want to go in basically and create something called courses, and then we want to have something called course controller, and we then want to leave that for now. So we're going to look at everything here later on. Now we actually want to go in and set up the registration function. So to start out with, let's go in, because the only file we have to do ourselves is the registration for the login tour. So let's go in and create a controller, and let's call this inside API, inside auth, and then let's call this register user controller to not mess up in anything in here. So we're gonna leave the register controller for now as it is in here. So let's go in and just take the validation rules here. We want to grab them, and we want to put this in here in a public function called store, and in here we want to take a request, and this request is gonna be like this, and then we want to basically go in and say request validate, and that's basically it for now. We also want to go in here in the users, and we also want to take in the country of the user. So let's go in and create a validation rule called country. And this country here, we're gonna just basically grab in like this, and we're gonna set this as required. The rest of it is actually fine. We don't need to add in anything else there. So what we can go in here now is we can go in and take this here, and we want to import the hash facade, and then we want to go in and basically say return, or actually let's go in and say user equals user create. We're gonna stick with the Laravel's default hash facade to make it work smoothly with the login, and then we want to rename this to request. In here, and additionally, we are not going to be looking at two-factor authentication, but we are going to be looking at how to verify the user. So what we want to do in here is we want to go in and we want to make a string, and this is going to be verify code. We can call this email verification code, and let's make this nullable for now. So basically this one here is gonna generate a random string. We're gonna put it in here. We're gonna verify that one in a URL to verify the user, and then we're gonna basically tell that the user has been verified. So we're basically just gonna use this later on to verify the user. So we have made this nullable, so for now let's just leave it like this. Also, we need to remember to put in inside our register controller, we will have the country, because we're going to register the country. And we can actually go in and put email verification code and just put in a random string for now, and then later on we're going to basically just go in and generate our own random string, so it's a bit hard to predict. So we can go in and verify the user, and then we're going to make sure when this field is assigned with a value with the current timestamp, we're going to basically go in and say in our front-end application to verify if the user is actually verified. So that's how we're going to verify the user in here, and this allows us to easily go in and check, is a user verified, is it not, and that's actually everything we need to do with the email verification when we go to that. So we just need to have to call a URL. So let's go in and check if the user is going to be created, and then in here let's return a response with some JSON in it. In this case, let's just go in and say data, and let's call this success, and let's call this true. We don't actually need to put in anything else here, so that will work perfectly fine. And it will, in case this fails, let's go in and create an errors, and let's call this root, and let's call this cannot read user. Obviously you would probably come in with some more custom or friendly failure text. So, but the thing is, we are verifying that the user details in here is required on all of these things here, and then we're creating the user. But in case that for some reason it doesn't go right with creating the user, we just want to return an error response here, like for example issue with database or something like that, so we can at least return something instead of returning nothing. So therefore we're just going to create an errors root and display that in the application when we get that far. Alright, so I think that will be all for this video. In the next video we're going to be looking at registering the user. So tune in for next video, and please hit the like button and the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this.